radio show.
What's up, friends? So recently I was on AuntyReRe live stream. Very, very good live stream. AuntyReRe, it was Vaughn's, it was Nanya, and it was also Deonta Reviews. Very, very great platform. Check out AuntyReRe channel, check out Vaughn's, check out Deonta Reviews. Y'all know him. And now Nanya is doing her thing. And AuntyReRe had a very, very good discussion, and we talked about, a lot of the characters. And AuntyReRe had a very, very controversial take on the Shayla character. And I feel like I want us to kind of get into this and kind of dig a little bit deeper, because I said some things, but I think I wanted to get some more thought processes out. So let's get into this. Let's go.
A lot of women, if they admit it, you operate in flight or fight, or you go stand and fight, or you go fly away from it.
All right, so AuntyReRe is explaining the whole idea of the Shayla character, and she's mentioning that a lot of women operate from fight or flight. I would also want to add to that, people also operate at freeze. So they either fight, flight, or them freeze. In other words, they just freeze and do nothing. Or them fight, or they actually just run away, right? And you probably could add more to that particular piece of the puzzle. So when we look at, let's look at the three characters. Amber, Anthony, Shayla. I believe this is what AuntyReRe is saying. Shayla is a fighter. Anthony is the runner because he's going to run. And Amber is the one that freezes. So in other words, they represent those, all three of those. Fight, flight, or freeze. Let's keep going.
And flight. Angelina, since she was a young girl, just like Shayla, since she was a young girl, they always had to fight for a position. Whether it was the position of the wife when Brody was out there cheating, whether it's Shayla's position at school, because we don't know if Shayla was cute in middle school. She might have evolved over time.
Something like that. But like what you said, we don't know if Shayla pretty much cute. But you know what I see though? Every single time, they give this now, it's almost like I feel like I see the, that little scene where the lady say,
"Oh my life, I had to fight."
I feel like I see that just now. Okay, so AuntyReRe is saying she don't know if Shayla was basically, not as hot in middle school.
Why are you always over here? I mean, don't you have a bag?
Which is plausible, because sometimes girls that are not as hot in middle school try to be the center of attention. And so by trying to be the center of attention, they may start to give away other things that the other girls wouldn't give away, which would be the things between their legs. So in other words, they give away the thing between them legs, which ends up making them, I guess, the girl that, a lot of guys might flock around for wrong reasons. So these are plausible arguments by AuntyReRe. Let's keep watching.
We don't know if she, if she was somebody who was sheltered. So we don't know where this dysfunction comes from.
They were poor.
That's the only thing that I would say is deeper than what we see. And that's my only message to people who out here who might be watching this, that don't always call the little girl or even the grown woman fast or a
because you don't know.
Because it might be something else. She might be operating not in a place of manipulation, but she's operating in a place of survival.
All right, so I like that. So AuntyReRe is saying basically, in a nutshell, hey, watch it with the critiques, watch it with the trying to get accountability, because and I'm hoping that I'm quoting you right here, AuntyReRe. If I'm not, please just correct me inside of the chat, or just do a video responding to this video. So AuntyReRe is saying, hey, we want to be more sensitive then to other people and to be sensitive to what they've gone through. And that is actually true. I'm not going to backtrack on that. That is actually true. That's a valid point. You definitely want to pay attention to those things as well. Let's keep popping, because I'm gonna give my other flip side at the end of the video.
And it's the things that we don't talk about, are the things that really drive us to think the way we think. It's the things we don't talk about. So when Shayla telling everybody how to do their man and how they should be with a man,
that's what he means by leading from the back.
She's insecure behind the scenes. She's really not leading. She's saying what she wished she could do.
All right. So she's really not leading. She wishes that she could do whatever it is that they are doing. The only thing though is, if she's a fighter, right, then there's some level of, I would want to say there's some level of leadership in that, because you have to be willing to fight in order to lead, right? I've always called Shayla a laissez-faire leader, because I felt like she leads, but she just leads from the back. You understand? And you don't really know that she's actually manipulating her way to do things, which comes back again to what AuntyReRe is saying, that that may be a thing that she has had to do in the past in order to get herself in certain positions. All of that is fine, and I understand that. The problem I had with this, and this is exactly where now I was on the contrary of this. The issue I have with it is that, and I don't know if it's an issue, but my flip side to what AuntyReRe is saying is that I find that people have started to use mental health as like a shelter. They've started to say, oh, I have a mental health, so you know what, you can't judge me too hard. Oh, I have a mental health, so you know, please just take your time with me. And what that ends up becoming is almost, it becomes a crutch for them. So they grow old like a Shayla who is in her 30s, and there's no accountability factor at all. Everyone tries to baby them, everyone tries to, you know, show them the best of faces, and no one gives them any consequence. And one of the things we learn about life is that life is built on consequences. For example, let's use animals then. If the gazelle does not run fast and use all of the attributes that it actually has, it will be eaten by a lion or a cheetah, right? The gazelle, the animal itself, the gazelle. So that's going to be vital as far as the gazelle is concerned, right? And so I'm saying the same thing here now for Shayla. She must realize that there must be changes in how she goes about things. And that maybe is the issue that I have with it. The issue I have with it is that it's almost as though she gets absolved of her accountability. And while I like the whole idea as a person who works in the mental health space and will always want to promote some level of sensitivity to people, there is a tendency these days for people to start to use mental health as a shelter, as a way of saying, well, you know, you can't hold me accountable because, you know, my mother was, you know, showing me this, or my father was showing me that, or, you know, I saw this as a kid, or I grew up in this circumstance. You start to use that as a crutch. And that can become a big problem, as you're seeing now with the Shayla character. Because the Shayla character has got no repercussions at all. And because of that, she continues to do the same thing. Same thing with Anthony. All of that fight, flight, or freeze can be used as an advantage. Shayla could use this as an advantage, right? This Shayla's fight that she has in her could be transmuted into something meaningful. And that is what I think I'd want to see. So when we criticize Shayla, we want to see her using that, because that's what you kind of want to do. Let me give you all a story. For example, O'Neill is a person who grew up from the inner city. And one of the things that has always fueled me is being from an inner city, right? Yes, it has always motivated me to be a fighter, because I realized that the alternative was worse than whatever else it is. It's either you're going to go hungry or you're going to get things done. Instead of allowing that to be a crutch for me to rest on, I used it to get even further. I'm going to give you more examples. O'Neill has always been talented, right? I've always been talented. I could have rested on my talents and say, you know what? I'm not going to go to school. I'm already talented, so I don't need to go to school. I just need to rest on this talent that I have. You know, I know how to sing, I can act, I can do everything that's in the arts. I'm going to rest on this talent that I have. I don't need to go to school. I don't need to get a degree. I don't need to do any of these things because I already have talent. I could have rested on the same thing and say, you know what? I grew up like that and grew up with that. And I'm certain if we were to examine lives, right? Because the one thing Shayla had was she had Angelina and she had Brody together. I only had one parent, but nonetheless. Right. I could have rested on that and said, well, hey, you know, that's the deal. So you know what? I'm not going to do anything different. But instead of doing that, I realized that there was more to life than just that. So I'm bringing that forward to say that, again, it comes down for me to choices. And so that's why I'm pushing a little bit back on AuntyReRe in this one, and I want her to respond. Give me some more takes on this, AuntyReRe, because I don't mind. I like perspectives. Hopefully the AuntyReviews join this conversation. Hopefully Nonya join this, and we talk more about it. I like when people try to use whatever it is that you have, then whatever trauma it is that you have, and see exactly if you can transmute that trauma to where it becomes beneficial for you, because there comes a point where you have to cash out of that. Shayla has not been in a broke state for a long period of time. Let's work on it. Wayne actually gave Shayla an opportunity with the artist and with her $10,000. Not much have come of it. Shayla has gotten Kai, with Anthony giving her a bunch of money. And we have not seen Shayla saying, you know what, Anthony, why not just Give me some of the money so I can, you know, or use the money that she gets to try to do her own thing. Instead, it's almost like she's always depending on this man. And again, while I understand that she could be seeing that from her mother and father, again, she's still an adult. And that's just kind of where the chips fall. You're still an adult. So if you're not using those, you will be criticized. You're going to get the critique of that. Now, the question is, how does she use this critique? That's why, so people who, little young girls, when we see them and we say them fast or these little things, and I'm not saying we want to badmouth anybody's children, but when we criticize a child or criticize an adult, the question is, what do you do with the critique? Do you use that critique and say, you know what, I get this critique, you know, and O'Neal said these things about me, you know, are they true at all? Can I use that critique? Because I've gotten a lot of critique in my lifetime and I've been able to use those critiques. People say, O'Neal, you know, sometimes you talk too fast, or sometimes you talk too much, or sometimes you're doing this too much, or sometimes you're a little bit too show off, or sometimes you're not humble. Instead of going into a corner and freezing up, you know what I mean, or whatever else it is, or all the time fighting, am I listening? And I feel like that is the big question. Are we actually listening? In our community, I feel like the listening factor can become more. I feel like we can improve upon the listening factor. Now, mark you have some comments that are going to be just chastisement. But can we actually listen? Because if we even look in the storylines, Shayla has been told a lot of things. And she's done otherwise nonetheless. Anyway, don't want to make this video long. Give me a take, like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm going to talk to y'all soon.